Oh, Spyglass, you really fucked. You really fucked everything up. Oh man, there goes my advertising money. You're not supposed to curse within the first 1 second of the video. So if you haven't heard the news already, Scream, that ever popular franchise that everyone adores, the Scream franchise has come to a screaming halt. Fuck. The lead actress of the film made a comment about modern social issues in the world and was fired by Spyglass immediately for having an opinion that differed from theirs. And in response, the second lead actress. Why does this franchise have two lead actresses? The second lead actress, she quit in solidarity. And then the director quit in solidarity. And now there's no movie, there's no Scream, there's no more Ghostface. Ghostface is dead. Finally. You know those movies, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Jason Goes to Hell, all those things. It turns out what you really need to do to defeat an icon slasher is make comments about Palestine. It's like kryptonite to Superman if Superman was a Hollywood producer. Well, what's your name? Lois Lane? Alright, time for your audition. Why don't you sit on that couch over there and we'll get to casting. So now that the Scream franchise is pretty much dead, which is a shame. I did enjoy the Scream franchise. I liked the first four movies. And my opinion is that you can watch Scream and then Scream 4 and miss essentially nothing. Like, those to me are the two best ones. Scream 2, I really loved Laurie Metcalf's performance in that movie. I really loved that character, but as a whole, I could say you could do away with Scream 2 and not even bother watching it. Just 1 and 4. Number 5 and number 6, objectively bad films. I just lost pretty much every modern Scream fan, but that's okay, because by saying that those movies sucked, I have brought back in every other horror movie fan in existence. So it may be a blessing in disguise for people like me who weren't big fans of 5 and 6, and you know, if you love those movies, hey, I love stuff that you would hate too. It's just the way the world works. But it may be a blessing in disguise for people like me that number 7 is now fucking dead. It's on the cutting room floor. It's been stabbed 37 times. And unlike every single fucking protagonist in 5 and 6, it won't be coming back immediately right afterward in an ambulance with a blanket thrown over it. Spoilers, by the way. Now, I made a video in the past about how I would do Scream 7, and that was in the current storyline. And now that that storyline is fucking gone, dropped from a ladder between two apartment buildings, cracking its head open on a dumpster, I figured it's time for a different video. Now, this is going to be more off the cuff. This is completely unscripted. You could probably tell by the rambling bullshit that I'm saying, but this is what I was thinking for not necessarily Scream 7, but a hard reset of the Scream franchise, something nobody wants, but something that may be necessary once Spyglass, gives up the rights to the franchise and stops fucking the, whole thing up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the roots of this franchise. The whole thing was essentially centered on parodying or, making meta commentary on slasher films. Nowadays, people look at Scream as like just another slasher franchise. But in the beginning, it was essentially meant to be satire. This kind of gets overshadowed by the fact that the people who made Scary Movie and every other movie kind of didn't really understand that it was already a parody, meaning they were making fun of something that was already making fun of something else. But yeah, the fact that there was some comedy to it, some meta commentary about horror movies and so on, kind of got lost as the sequels progressed, and, eventually, just was entirely missing. Gone was the commentary on the film industry in total, and all that remained was, hey, wouldn't it be funny if the killer was an internet troll who didn't like diversity in films and hated Brie Larson and didn't go see Captain Marvel and probably won't go see the Marvels. But yeah, you get the idea. It became more targeted toward like giving a middle finger to the audience as opposed to lampooning the industry itself, being a bit of a reflection of the creators, showing you their own faults in the horror industry. So we're going to get back to roots, and my reboot for the Scream franchise would work as such. Each and every Scream film would be set in Woodsboro. Now, I know that they got kind of out there. They went to college, they went to New York. There were a few different films in the existing franchise where they kind of broke out of the mold and left Woodsboro. And that's totally fine, but for my vision, we're sticking to Woodsboro for the foreseeable future. Now, instead of going with like a new location each time, we're going to go to a new part of like small town living in each film. Like the first Scream film in my Reboot franchise. I'm going to give them really sappy titles. The reason I'm giving them really sappy titles is because slasher movies have always had really sappy titles, except for Scream. You've got Freddy's Dead. You've got New Nightmare. You've got Jason Takes Manhattan. You've got all the titles that are kind of like building on something. You're not getting just Friday the 13th 2, Friday the 13th 3, Friday the 13th 4, Friday the 13th 5, Friday the 13th 6. You're getting like a little bit of a title with each one that gives you kind of an idea what you're getting into with the story. And those titles can be really corny, and I think that bringing back that corniness is a good way to put some meta right on the top, right on the poster, before you even see the fucking film. So the first movie in the Scream franchise reboot would be Scream, Woodsboro Lives. What does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. Woodsboro is a town. How it lives? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that would be the, sort of meta joke in the beginning. We're going back to Woodsboro, though, for the whole thing, so we're going to reference Woodsboro in our silly title. And each Scream film in my rebooted franchise would focus on, as I said, part of small town life. You've got a small town that is trying to rebrand itself. It's just that, we just don't want to be associated with those ghost face killings anymore. We don't want to be associated with those stab movies. So we're coming up with new names for the town, and you've got like town officials, and you've got the people from the local high school, who are having a contest. Their teacher gives them a contest to rename the town. Submit your name and we'll send it off to the town council. And so people are coming up with different names that they might want to change Woodsboro to. And you've got people giving like comedically bad ideas. Like, somebody says, what if we change the town name to Innocence? Innocence. That sounds so wonderful and innocuous and totally washes away the blood of all the victims of the, murders that have been in this town. Innocence. Picture it on a sign written in cursive. Welcome to Innocence. People being really, over the top, kind of silly. In terms of our meta dark commentary about how to put a new shine on a town that has been essentially home to a fucking nightmare bloodbath. Hey guys, this is Slimebeast again while I'm editing the video, and as I'm listening back to this, I thought, people probably will understand that putting a new name on the town is like a reference to putting a new shine on a franchise that was tarnished and destroyed. As I'm editing this, I'm thinking, Slimebeast, you should probably just say that outright. It might be a little too subtle when you're not actually seeing a movie in which it's happening. Like, when you're just describing the movie, it probably is too subtle a joke. So, there you go, the joke's explained. Back to you, Tast Slimebeast, you fucking caveman. And so this film would essentially focus on the school, the high school, and, like, town officials, town council, the different people throughout the town who are important, integral community pillars, the person who runs the general store, the town doctor, the town veterinarian, the guy who owns the gun shop. All the different people in this town who are sort of like characters that are mainstays of small town America, and each of them would end up being a suspect when high schoolers start getting murdered by Ghostface yet again. Now, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to go into a full synopsis of the movie, but you get the basic idea. We're going back to Woodsboro. Each film is going to be an aspect of Woodsboro and life therein. And we're going to have high school characters as our lead characters. Now, what we're going to do also is, when people graduate high school, they're gone from the fucking film franchise. And we're going to keep like a hard rule for this, because that means the characters can only return for a few movies, and then you move on to new characters and new blood. Because one of the things I dislike most about horror franchises is when they will not let the main characters fucking go, and they keep them for 30 fucking years, and eventually you have an 80-year-old character trying to get rid of fucking Ghostface, and it's like, can we just move on? So that's going to be a hard rule of this franchise, is once a character is out of high school, They're out of the group of main characters. Now, you might have some like cameos or guest appearances in other films where it's like, hey, you remember old Todd? Remember Todd was a senior in the first movie? Oh, when they go to the local county fair, hey, there's Todd running the Ferris wheel as like a carny. Well, there's that character from that other thing. So you can have characters like come back in minor roles, but we're going to mostly stick to that rule that once a character is out of high school, get the fuck out of the movie. Make room for someone new. And then you can move on to have like a second film in the franchise. The second film could center on the big game at high school. The big football game is coming up. And you've got like the football team. You've got the mascot of the football team. You've got the coach. You've got the people related specifically to this event in a small town. And those are your suspects, and those are your characters. Another film, you have like the homecoming dance. And the homecoming dance has, you know, the popular girls who are going to make sure that they win prom queen. And you've got the popular guys who are like, damn, which, you know, babe am I going to take to the fucking thing? And then you've got the outsiders who's like, I don't have a date to the thing. And, you know, so on and so forth. You focus on these tropes. Because these tropes are the fundamental building blocks of these fucking slasher films. And of course, it may seem to some who are listening to this like, oh, Slimebeast, you're not thinking very big, you're not thinking very outside the box. And I'll tell you what, thinking big is what leads to putting Jason in fucking space. Alright? This is the road you go down. I would like to keep it grounded. I would like to keep it gritty. I would like to keep it real. I would like to keep things centered. And of course, you know, people were looking forward to Scream 7 being a Christmas movie. Well, you can have a Christmas movie in fucking Woodsboro. I mean, fuck it. You could have a movie that takes place at a summer camp, like Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, and all the other fucking camper movies. You could have that take place in Woodsboro. You could have a lot of different things that are different aspects of life in this fucking town. I look at horror franchises sort of the same way as I look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or even the DC Universe. You know, you try to go big too quickly, like the DC Universe. If you try to go too big, too fast, people are not invested. If you're like the MCU, you keep ramping up the stakes. You keep going further and further. You start out with Iron Man, just an earthbound guy, just a regular human being with a good brain, you know, building something, and you end up in fucking space, in a multiverse, with 500 different fucking versions of the fucking characters all fighting on the screen in a big CGI jumble, while a blue laser shoots up into the sky and threatens to destroy something. Who the fuck knows? And it just ramps up and up and up until it's fucking absurd and it's impossible to care anymore. So I would like to keep things grounded. I would like to keep things ground level. It's the reason that the Batman works, but Batman versus Superman doesn't. Just because you're keeping things grounded and you're keeping things sensible. Another change, naturally, this may be pretty obvious, but new lore. We're not going to have any lore that goes back to the original fucking film anymore. We had that for every fucking sequel. You had Billy's mother. You had Sidney's brother. You had Sidney's sister. You had Randy's son. You didn't know that? Yeah, Richie Kirsch is Randy Meek's son. Randy lost his virginity. It's mentioned early in the thing. And basically, Richie is like the adopted son of, you know, well, whatever. It's just a theory. In number 6, of course, we get fucking Richie's family. Again. So every time it links back to a previous film, and that is great for certain things. Billy's mother, great reveal, great twist, loved it. But for this, we're going to start some new lore. We're not going to go all the way back to the fucking beginning again. The only thing that will remain is Ghostface, Woodsboro, and the fact that murders in Woodsboro have taken place in the past, referring to, you know, previous films. We're just keeping the events. So that's the long and short of how I would restart the Scream franchise. A lot of people will say, you can't have a Scream movie without Gale Weathers. You can't have a Scream movie without Sidney Prescott. And to those people I would say, you absolutely can. You can have any movie without any fucking character. You can have a Scream movie without Ghostface. Would it be good? Would it be bad? I don't know. But you can do it. Bring in his cousin Ghoulface. You know, whatever. But yeah, so in summary, that's what I would do. I would reboot the franchise once Spyglass is out of the picture and has sold the rights to someone else. And I would start the fuck over from scratch. Make sure that the meta commentary about slasher films and horror films is right there. Put it back in the franchise. Keep it grounded. Keep it simple. Simple starting premise. that spins way out of control as people start dying. Hey everybody, welcome to the state fair. Oh, what do you know, somebody tripped and fell and got ground up by the mechanics of one of the rides at the fair. Oh, what a horrible accident. Or was it Ghostface? You know, shit like that. Keep it simple, stupid is a popular motto, and it's a good motto. And I guess with that, I'm going to kiss you all goodbye and say, yeah, Spyglass, hit me up. I will buy the rights to the Scream franchise. I'm thinking like $1, because, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything with it anyway.